So it's just been announced that there is indeed going to be a sequel to Blade Runner. Now, this is a pretty big deal. If you don't know what Blade Runner is, it was a film from the early 1980s which really helped redefine what science fiction could be. It was directed by Ridley Scott. It was based on a short story by a science fiction writer called Philip K. Dick. And the film Blade Runner, although it doesn't actually resemble much of the source material, just blew everybody away in terms of the visual style, the world that they'd built. I mean, you watch Blade Runner now and it stands up as if it was made today. In fact, it looks better than many of the films that are made today, actually, in terms of special effects. The special effects are just incredible, all before CG, and really show you why models and practical effects are superior. So they are now going to do a sequel to it after all these years. Now, it's a film that wasn't particularly the original Blade Runner wasn't particularly popular when it first came out, but over time it's became recognised as one of the greatest films ever made. Certainly one of the greatest science fiction films ever made. And it's I don't know how I feel about it. It's one of those films which is so revered for someone to then go back and to do a sequel to it. It's quite a sort of scary thing, especially if the sequel that they do infers anything about the original film, if it affects anything from the original film, so that when you watch the original film now, it'll be, it will appear, the film will appear different to you. My hope is that what they do is that I don't want to see any characters from the original film. The only connection to Blade Runner I want to see is that it's set in the same universe, and perhaps maybe that they'll deal with something to do with replicants. Well, they probably would have to for it to be a Blade Runner film. Now, the only thing that I hold out hope for is that Ridley Scott, the original director of Blade Runner, has signed on to do the sequel, and well, we don't know if it'll be a sequel or a prequel or what, but he's signed on to do it. And the rumor is that they're not going to like try and get Harrison Ford in or anything like that, which is good. I really like Harrison Ford, but there's no point in him being in this film. Um, and I feel that with Ridley Scott at the helm, there's a chance that it could be good. Uh, we'll see. I think a good marker for it will be when Prometheus comes out, which is a kind of prequel to Alien. I'm going to do a video about that again soon. And if that's good, I think we'll be able to see whether the Blade Runner sequel, prequel, whatever is going to really measure up. Um, there's sort of two schools of thought. One is leave well alone. It was brilliant. It's a standalone piece. Just leave it on its own. And the other is you know we want more. We want more. It was such a good film. We want more. I'm quite selfish that way. It's like sometimes I want more, and then when I get a sequel, I'm just like completely let down. That happens more often than not. Um, so I'm kind of excited at the idea, but for once, I actually think look, just leave it alone. I think they said everything they had to with Blade Runner, and I think one of the great things about the original Blade Runner is that it was it could be interpreted in so many different ways, and because of that, it's got a real lasting legacy in terms of like watchability. You can rewatch it, rewatch it, rewatch it. So anyway, they're doing a sequel as soon as they finish the Alien Prometheus film. So we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? Are you a big fan of Blade Runner? I mean, I'm a massive fan of that film, and the idea of them doing a sequel, it's a I'm 50-50 about it, probably hovering thereabouts. I'm leaning towards not wanting them to make one, but they probably should just leave it alone. But then I'm curious, what would they come up with? So what do you guys think about the idea of a Blade Runner sequel?